All right, guys, we're going to get into some graphing today. So we have our graphs here, and for now, we're going to start off with all of our equations are going to be in the form y equals, I'm going to say it's a times b to the power of x. And so you can see that kind of these first two equations are both that. So we have our first number here is, we'll call that a, and the second number, we'll call that b. We can call it whatever we want, but I just like to always use that. And how I always graph these are with what I call the magic points. And so our magic points on every exponential function are going to be as follows. It's going to be 0, comma, a, whatever number is out there in front. And then it's going to be 1, comma, a times b. And I'll explain why we use those on this first one. And so if you kind of just visualize, so if I was to use that here, we can see that in this case, our A and our B are both 2. And so I'm going to say that this will be 0, comma, 2, and then 1, comma, and then obviously A times B, 2 times 2 would be 4. The reason we can do that, and you don't have to do this every time, but I'll just put like a little y here, put a little thought bubble, is that if you actually plug in 0, so if I said y equals 2 times 2 to the 0 power, then that's going to be y equals 2 times 1. If I do my PEMDAS there, then 2 to the 0 power, if I do the exponents first, is 1. And so 2 times 1 is 2. And so that means that if I plug in a 0 for x, I get out a 2 for y. And so that's where I get that 0, comma 2. And so then if I plugged in, let's say, a 1, which is to be our second point here, if I plug in a 1 for x, right there, then I get out 2 times 2. And so that would be 4. And so that's where I get that y value of 4 right there in my point here, 1, comma 4. So you don't have to do this every time. If you can kind of just follow this rule here, that's going to give us these correct 2 points every single time, but that's just the reason why. Okay, so now we'll graph our 2 points here. So we're going to get, we got 0, comma 2, it'll be right there. And then 1, comma 4 will be right there. All right, and then we'll go ahead and draw our graph. Now, a really important piece of this one as well, and let me give myself some space to write this. So these all kind of have the same shape, these exponential graphs, and it's really based on if b is greater than 1, then that is going to be what we call growth. And that is going to look like this. And then if, so we'll put that in a little thought bubble here. And then if b is less than 1, that's what we call decay. And the graph is going to look like this. So it's kind of just flipped around like so. So this one we could see is, since b is 2, it's greater than 1, then it's going to be growth here. And so let's go ahead and draw our graph. So it's going to look something like that. All right, so next up we'll do number 19. So for this one, we'll just use our magic, or first of all, I can see that this is going to be decay since this is less than 1. And we'll go ahead and do our magic points here. And so once again, let's remember that our magic points are, it's always 0, comma a, and then 1, comma a times b in the form y equals a times b to the x. And so in this case, all right, so our first one is going to be 0, comma a, so that's going to be 4. And then our second one is going to be 1 comma, and then this is going to be 4 times 1/2. So If you want to, you can use a calculator for that. We can do 4 times 1 over 2, and so that's going to come out to 2. And so that's going to be my 2 points there. So 0, 4, and 1, 2. And so that'll be it'll be our decay. So it's going to be decreasing. Let's try to draw this. No, I'll try again. All right. It's going to be a decay, so it'll be going down like this. There we go. That's really good. All right. So you guys can try number 20 then, and we'll go down to number 21. All right, next up here, again, we're going to do our magic points here. So we got 0, comma, and then a here is 5, and then 1, comma, and then this will be a times b. Quick reminder here, we'll do 0, comma, a, and then 1, comma, a times b. So this will be 10 for me. So 0, comma, 5 will be right there, and then 1, comma, 10 will be right there. We'll go ahead and graph that. And there you go.